So now that we've explored trends, let's move on to something a little bit more hands-on, something you're very familiar about, inventory control and operations management. So what are some best practices that every team should keep in mind?
Give lots of love to your inventory control team. I think, from an inventory control perspective, and I think that I was fortunate to focus on inventory control in the beginning of my career, because I see a lot of times that people, maybe they start out in shipping or receiving or something like that, and they don't necessarily grasp the importance of tight inventory control in the operation, because their focus is more on throughput, right, versus accuracy sometimes, right? And if they're able to move their task on to the next department, right, like their plate is clean. Right? So I think that a big focus on inventory for any position is huge, right? And having some accountability around that is also really important to get people to understand the impact. Because I look at inventory control and just the inventory in general as kind of the backbone of the operation. Your location, if the inventory is off, right, it creates this kind of ripple effect, right? You have pickers going out there picking orders, system is telling them that they need to go pick 2 pieces from this and there's only 1 piece left, right? Now the picker is either got to flag it in the system, and then it's got to get checked by inventory control, and then maybe that order is on hold because that was supposed to be the last item in the building, right? And that always happens. Yeah. And so, then it's all this time spent looking for that item, and ultimately it may end up in a potential lost sale, right? So it slows down the operation, slows down the flow of that worker. It takes time away for other people that have to go and search and research and figure out, like, where is this? And then potentially you're losing money because, you just spent all that labor money, right, trying to rectify it, but you're also just potentially losing that sale as well. So I think from an inventory control perspective, it's very important to be able to tie accountability for all departments, right? Because all departments can impact the inventory accuracy, right? And, with that being said, root causing and understanding why these discrepancies happen, right? Why is there a shortage? Why is there an overage? And then figuring out how to fix that for the future is really the key, right? It's one thing to, that example where it's supposed to be 2 and there's only 1 there, right? It's one thing to, like, okay, find that 1 unit and resolve that. But how are you going to prevent that from happening again, right? Because if you're not preventing it from happening again, right, then I would say, like, your inventory control program is not effective, right? It's just kind of firefighting in a sense, right? And you want to prevent the fire. So, so making sure that, one, you can rectify the situation when it needs to be rectified, but then dig in and really understand, like, what caused that problem, right? And how do we prevent that from happening, right? And that could be from a process perspective. It could be from a system perspective. But I think the key to getting to that point and being successful with inventory control is that you really need to know the ins and outs of every process from a physical standpoint and also from a systemic standpoint as well. As I continue to evolve in my career in inventory control, I got more intimately involved with the different parts of the operation, would spend time doing the processes myself just so I could really understand, like, where could something potentially go wrong and why it would go wrong from a user perspective. And then also got really, I don't know if they like this sometimes, but I got really close with IT as well. and would poke them a lot about, like, hey, this thing in the system, there's a potential for somebody to make an error because of the way the screen looks, or because they can, like, potentially go somewhere else, or they can adjust things around. And I think being able to look at those things and then come up with the solutions to do that can really kind of lock down those processes and be able to prevent those discrepancies from happening. So I think it's important for inventory control people and the team to really, get into those weeds and be able to solve those issues and then prevent the issues from happening. But then it's also incredibly important to have, the other departments have some responsibility for that as well, right? Like if that problem was caused by receiving because they miscounted when it came inbound, like that accountability needs to go to receiving, right? If a picker overpicked, right, or picked the wrong item, like then that accountability needs to go there, right? And that needs to be like a full-on culture shift in an operation sometimes. And I think the other thing I see too is that oftentimes I feel like inventory control is a little under-resourced, right? I think that sometimes people, they don't think about inventory control unless something goes wrong, right? Yeah. And, a lot of times it's happened to me as an inventory control manager where they're like, we're short on picking people. Like, we need to take your cycle counters out early and have them pick instead, right? And then, but when you start doing that repeatedly and start like kind of depleting the resources there a little bit, that's when you start to see things go wrong.
Yeah, the flow gets
right?
messed
Because
up.
like you're not keeping up with it necessarily. Like you're not doing those audits. You're not trying to find those issues or prevent those issues from happening. So I think that it's important for the operation as a whole to really understand that importance of the inventory control and the inventory accuracy, whether it's bad or good, right? Because if it's good, like you're not going to hear much, but you have to maintain that still, right? If it's bad, you're gonna hear a lot, and it's gonna potentially damage your business.